From some serious allegations of assault threatening Conor's career to an embarrassing clean sweep during The Ultimate Fighter, here's why it's time for McGregor to retire. It's no secret that it's been one controversy after another for the Irishman, and unless things change, it might be time for the former double champ to hang up his gloves. While many loyal fans believe we'll be seeing Conor back in the octagon at the end of 2023, others aren't so sure, since the Notorious has found himself in the middle of another controversy with serious allegations of assault coming his way, putting a huge question mark over his return to the sport. The Irish mixed martial artist was accused of assaulting a woman at the Kaseya Center in Miami during Game 4 of the NBA Finals, so you see what I mean. These aren't some small charges. While the investigation's still ongoing, McGregor has denied the accusations and promised to not be intimidated. But even if his name gets cleared, this incident's only the latest in a long series of accusations. It's not even the first possible criminal conduct on McGregor's part. It's the fourth time that he's been accused of assault. And I don't need to tell you how concerning that is. In March 2019, for instance, Conor was under investigation in Ireland after a woman accused him of assault in a Dublin penthouse the previous December. The former champ was arrested and questioned, but was released. And then again in October 2019, police received another complaint against the fighter from a woman who said he'd assaulted her in a car outside a Dublin pub. The UFC star denied both claims and didn't face criminal charges in either case. He was the face of the sport, and yet, back in September 2020, McGregor was detained and questioned again, this time for alleged indecent exposure and assault in a bar. He spent 2 days in custody, but like the rest of the cases, this one was dropped too. I wish that was it. But the man was sued back in 2021 by the woman who accused him of assaulting her in Dublin. But despite the countless scandals and allegations, the UFC and ESPN haven't been interested in distancing themselves from their favorite cash cow. Both organizations have been benefiting from his fame, with UFC going ahead with Season 31 of The Ultimate Fighter, where Conor's the coach, opposite another veteran, Michael Chandler. It's interesting how the man's picked up his fair share of violent encounters away from the octagon, but remains one of the promotion's biggest names. Who could forget when Conor and his groupies attacked a bus carrying UFC fighters at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn back in 2018, when the fighter smashed the vehicle's window with a hand dolly, injuring multiple fighters on board. The next year, McGregor pleaded guilty to assault, and this one got viral because he punched a pub customer who'd refused to drink a shot of his whiskey brand. Even 2022 wasn't without its scandals, with Conor being accused of assaulting a woman on his yacht in Ibiza, Spain, but yet again, he wasn't charged. These are just the charges. His social media presence is embarrassing in its own right. And get this, the chances of his comeback have taken another hit. After USADA revealed that he's missed the testing pool cutoff date to fight in 2023. No matter how many times Conor says he'll pass all the tests, he's most probably not going to meet the deadline anymore. USADA rules say that any fighter who comes into their testing pool needs to be constantly tested, showing negative results for the next 6 months. But the Irishman's been too busy filming The Ultimate Fighter or traveling the world and having parties to worry about this USADA test. But if he doesn't comply, there's no chance. The Notorious will get to step foot into the octagon, especially not right after the reality TV series ends. So it seems like time's running out for the former champ, if he ever planned to join the testing pool in the first place. But for the UFC, a McGregor fight, which could take place later in 2023, will earn them some massive paychecks. The former featherweight and lightweight champion hasn't fought in 2 years after he broke his leg during his fight against Dustin Poirier. But he's headlined 5 of the 6 most profitable pay-per-view events in UFC history. So you can't help but want to see him again, right? Well, here's where you might be wrong. Despite a lengthy layoff, he's still the organization's most recognizable star. I'll give him that. But since the promotion's doing so well for itself, with new talent and new superstars on the rise, the UFC may not need to rely on its star fighter anymore. Plus, the new WWE merger's underway, and things are only looking up for the promotion from here. With so much to look forward to, it's about time Conor lays his UFC career to rest. Because let's face it, the organization's got an image problem when it comes to violence away from the octagon. It's no surprise that Conor hasn't faced any repercussions. The organization doesn't have the best record for punishing abusers and unnecessary violence. But even if you want to look beyond his string of controversies, he's no longer the fighter he once was. The Irishman's lost 3 of his last 4 bouts and hasn't won a fight in more than 3 years. The last time McGregor was able to go on a winning streak was way back in 2016. And it's not like fans are completely delusional, or at least not all of them. It's clear to see that Conor's busy living the party life right now, and he's not in peak physical shape, especially not against a warrior like Iron Mike. Sure, Conor in his prime would have been a whole other beast, but that time's long gone. Then there's Chandler, who's been very active since he signed for the UFC. Since 2021, he's had 5 fights, while McGregor's had only 2. So there's a big possibility that ring rust's going to mess up Conor's game. And it's not like Iron Mike's faced some easy competition. He's faced some of the very best in the division, like Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, and Tony Ferguson. So y'all know he's going to try and get himself a stunning knockout, worthy of a highlight reel. So, for the former champ to come back to the octagon after the long break to face Chandler, he's setting himself up for failure. And don't get me started with how McGregor's training with Dylan Dennis, of all people, like that's going to help him with his grappling. Conor posted a training video with the Bellator fighter, and fans flooded the comment section, calling his trainer delusional, and how McGregor should consider training with TikTokers, since he still trains with people like Dennis. Even if you ignore his lack of training, Mystic Mac's been threatening retirement since 2016. Isn't it about time he follows through with it? If you're a fan of the Irishman, you know not to take the retirement talk seriously, since he's done it 4 times now. But instead of going back and forth on this, retirement would be a classy way to end a great career, without adding another loss to it. During his time away from the octagon, a Notorious bagged a movie role and became the 4th fighter after Randy Couture, Ronda Rousey, and Georges St. Pierre to transition from MMA to Hollywood. Most of you know he's going to be in the remake of Roadhouse, starring alongside Jake Gyllenhaal, who's playing the leading role. Conor's dabbling in multiple projects right now, and most of them aren't related to his return. His fighting career's long gone, because even Mystic Mac's return to The Ultimate Fighter hasn't gotten the ratings Dana and the promotion expected. Plus, it's been a total wipeout for Team McGregor, and that's bound to be bad for his ego. He had to ask Dana what'll happen if Chandler completely clean sweeps him, since his time as a coach has been overshadowed by a historic defeat. 7 straight losses. That's gotta hurt. Speaking of Chandler, the poor guy keeps looking for that big payday, trying to confirm when he's facing off against Conor. And his attempts at suggesting a potential fight in December made some fans crack up. Many found it hilarious that Mike still thinks the fight's happening, because it's obvious that McGregor's juiced to the gills. And then there are others who are accusing the former double champ of being a sellout, about how he cares more about business than he does fighting. You add in the assault allegations and his bizarre social media posts, and fans have never been more disappointed. Don't get me wrong, a potential McGregor fight will generate more buzz, more than anything else the UFC could offer in its place, and they won't want some other promotion to sign him instead. So he's not going to be cut as long as he wants to stay. As long as McGregor can fight, you can bet the UFC will be there to promote it. But it's about time Conor accepts reality. He has no more intense fights in the tank. He has 1 or 2 fights left in him, and there's no guarantee he's going to win. So why ruin your legacy even more? So there you have it, fight fans. From the embarrassing clean sweep during The Ultimate Fighter to some serious allegations of assault threatening Conor's career, that's why it's time for McGregor to retire.